All right, review for the study guide. A review of the study guide for the test tomorrow. Reminder, we have, who is it? Griffin, current events for tomorrow. Okay, make sure you have that current event ready to go to present. Okay, so vocab is also due tomorrow, along with the bell ringers. So I don't know how many bell ringers we had this week. Do we have any? I think we might have one. I don't know. Do we have one? Okay, because I remember I put out that map. I put out the study guide then, and I put out the review of the dictators, right? Okay. So I want to make sure everybody's prepared. Again, vocab is due tomorrow. Attach it to the post for tomorrow. Okay. And then the exam is going to be a Google form. You'll have 24 hours to do it. Those in here, you'll just do it in here. Okay. Get that done. All right. So real quick, study guide. Number 1. Describe how the Treaty of Versailles was a cause to World War II. What penalties and limitations were placed on Germany? What do we have for this one? Go ahead, Forney.
They had territorial adjustments, reparations, armament restrictions.
Okay, good job. So the Treaty of Versailles we know is the ending of World War I. This was the treaty to really shape Europe and the rest of the world moving forward at the end of the Great War. And I know I put up the limitations on the board. Number 1 was what? The sole blame was placed on Germany. Morny, he said a few things. What else did Germany have to do? What did they have to pay?
They had to pay for all the damages they caused.
Yeah, okay, good job. Because they were blamed for the war. They had to pay the Allied powers. Okay, how to rebuild the reparations. Good job. All right, good job. So they had to pay back the Allied powers for all the reparations. Maybe there'll be a bonus point of when it was actually paid off. Okay, so I'll let you guys think of that one. All right, what was the next one? 3? What was 3? What else did they lose here, Forney?
Armaments.
Okay, yeah, so military restrictions, good work. So they were stripped of their navy, and their standing army was limited to 100,000 troops. That was it. Okay, so if you're taking away their military, what was Germany really prideful over? Their military, right? So nationalism. Okay, you're really stripping them of their military and their nationalism, their national pride. Take it away. Good job. All right, and then what else? What else did they lose, Griffin? Yeah, good job. So the Rhineland especially, okay, they lost a lot of land. The territories they took with the Franco-Prussian War, Alsace-Lorraine. They lost some land on the eastern side where it was created as Poland. So this was taken away from Germany, which kind of takes away their industrialization, their factories, their businesses. Even though a lot of them were pretty much destroyed during World War I, these grounds where they had a lot of industrial gains and industrial factories, it was taken from them. So how do they rebuild? They really can't. Okay. What else was taken away? Oh my gosh, these Allied powers are terrible to them. What else? What other lands, Jeffrey? What other land does Germany have?
They got their lands in Africa taken.
Okay, yeah, their territories, right? So territorial possessions, parts of Asia, Africa, taken away. Good. So if they have no raw materials, resources to fuel their industries that were taken away and destroyed, how are they going to rebuild? They can't. So you can see how this Treaty of Versailles really was poking Germany, was really pushing them to become this power, which we're going to talk about even more after this chapter here. Okay, good job. So the Treaty of Versailles. Who came up with this idea? Here? Who were they? I know I talked about these 4 men, the big 4, right? Who were they? Names? Do we know them? Troy, do you remember? Woodrow Wilson, big player, right? Yep, for America. Who else? George Clemenceau, France. Yep. Orlando from Italy. Yeah, he was kind of pushed aside through these plans, but hey, he's still involved. Who else? Then the last one. Do you remember? Great Britain? No? Anybody want to help him? David Lloyd George. There you go. David Lloyd George. So the Big Four, make sure you remember those guys. And that was really setting the stage for Germany post World War One. Good. Good work. Good work. All right. So Treaty of Versailles caused World War II. There you go. Number 2, who was Gustav Stresemann? How did he try to benefit the German economy and country as a whole after World War One? How did he accomplish this? So we talked about him quite a bit, and you really don't hear about him too much. But what was his claim to fame here? What did he try to do? What did he try to do? What do you have for number 2, Kiara? We'll work our way around the room here. Okay, good. All right. So the Dawes Plan came into effect under his, I guess, rule, right, in Germany. He was chancellor for a short bit of time, and then he really solved diplomatic problems and issues with other countries, especially France. He actually built somewhat of a sound relationship with them somewhat during that time. All right, good. So the Dawes Plan, which we already know, we talked about, which is the third question. We'll discuss that a little bit more in detail next. So he came up with this, helped with the Dawes Plan to help rebuild Germany and make it into a world power once again, and to help pay back some of these reparations. What else did he do? What was one of the big issues that really hit hard in Germany? A lot of the people were using the money as wallpaper and as fuel to heat their homes.
He stopped issuing of money in order for their current money to regain some sort of value.
Okay, good work. So he tried to solve that hyperinflation issue, and he did that with backing it to gold standard, make sure that there's some sort of reserve there to make the amount of that dollar increase. Because for so many times you'll see pictures of people in Germany actually walking around with wheelbarrows full of money to go buy a loaf of bread. What crazy stuff! So their solution at first was just print more money. Yeah, that's the best idea. That's the best plan, right? So he decided to back it up with the gold standard. Okay, make sure that worth, that amount, is somewhat reasonable. Good. What else did he do? What else did he do? What else? Someone help me. Someone. Jeffrey, go ahead.
He tried to better Germany's relationship with the Allied powers.
Good job. So he was trying to build Germany at respectable at an international stage, and really other countries to see them at the same level and have Germany be somewhat of a say at the international level. It's to a point where the League of Nations accepted them eventually after long years. Okay, what else did he do? So that was kind of like the Kellogg-Brand Act, right? Good. What else? What else did he do? What about with the political parties? What about with the government that was formed in Germany? What did he do with that? Did he help show some sort of respect and some sort of following towards that government? What was that government anyway? What was it called? Serene, go ahead.
Weimar Republic.
Yeah, good job. The Weimar Republic. Good. So he actually had people support the Weimar Republic. And he was trying to push people to respect it at a moderate level. Right? So no longer were there extreme groups kind of forming. He was making sure that people had some sort of respect and support for that government. And it worked out for a short period of time. Good. All right, so that's kind of where we're getting at with Stresemann. He put Germany back on the right track, especially with the hyperinflation issue. Respect and support at the international stage for Germany with other countries. Set up somewhat of a sound relationship with France, moving in the right direction. We talked about some of the support too by all the German citizens to not accept extremist values. So some sort of support for the Weimar Republic. There we go. All right, Dawes Plan. What do we have here? How does this work? Serene, go ahead. How does this work?
The Dawes Plan was a plan to help Germany after suffering its great protection to benefit the U.S. and Great Britain by Germany giving off products to Great Britain and reselling
Okay. Yep. Good job. Good job. So the United States would loan money to Germany so that they can build up their industrialization, their factories, their businesses in order to try to make some economic growth. All right. So with these products, they then obviously use that money, that profit from these products and supplies and trading at the capitalist economy with other countries. And then they would send that money to the Allied powers to pay back some of these reparations. Okay. And then obviously the Allied powers, France and Great Britain, would do the same thing, build up their industries, their factories, and whatever money they had left, they'd send it to the United States, kind of like a triangle effect, right? Because of the United States' support throughout the whole war. Okay, all the debt that they owe the United States for helping rebuild and with supplies and armaments throughout the course of the war, right? So it's kind of working for a good period of time. What took the kibosh to this plan? What was it? Griffin? Yeah, Great Depression, right? The stock market crash. Okay, there's just too much of a surplus of supplies and goods, and eventually, when that stock market crash, American economy started to falter. Then so did the world economy, and then here we go. We see the world back into a Great Depression. Right? We see this depression even take hold even more, and we talked about how Stressman died right around this time. All right, Mussolini. What do you got, Troy?
He was the prime minister in Italy.
Good. And what did he do? How did he bring nationalism back to Italy?
He restored Rome back to its glory days.
Yeah, right. So he looked to bring Rome back, right? The success, this national pride back to Italy. And he did that through what type of government ideal? Far right. What was that called? Go ahead, Troy. Yeah, fascism. Good job. So strong nationalistic pride. Okay, he became dictator. He promised a lot of things to the Italian people. In a way, he kind of unified them to have nationalistic pride and build a military. He helped with unemployment rates. He helped really rebuild Italy back into, I guess you could say, a world power. Right? And he did that with his expansion down in Africa. We mentioned that a little bit. Okay. And taking over Ethiopia, and how he was really just bringing back pride to the people. And a lot of that happened because Italy really wasn't recognized at the world stage. But yeah, they were on the victor's side towards the end, but they flip-flopped, right? They didn't really get all the benefits, the help that they wanted. So they kind of fell into problems, and Mussolini pushed them in the right direction, I guess you could say, for a short period of time with jobs, okay, nationalistic pride, building up a military. And how could he do that? How could he build up a military? I thought they all agreed at the end of World War I that we're not going to build our militaries back up.
League of Nations was too busy dealing with their own depressions.
Okay, yeah, League of Nations, France and Great Britain, they're going through depression. Okay, they really both agreed that they're not going to build their militaries up. They didn't think that another war would happen, and because it was so weak, allowed Italy to rise as a world power again, a military power. Oh, boy. Okay, 5. Hitler's rise to Germany. How did Hitler gain the support of German citizens? How was the 1933 election in Germany so impactful? Remember Arnold Higgins, right? Yeah, Arnold Higgins. What happened here, Lentz? What do you have for 5? What do you got for 5?
He became German chancellor. Made German people afraid of communism,
Okay.
which led them to follow Hitler, his idea.
All right, yeah. So he was really persuading the masses through propaganda, right? He was trying to shift on people's fears, and a lot of that was accepting communism. Okay, we talked more about how he used his ideas with Mein Kampf and how he was placed in jail because of his extremist values. And once Germany went through this depression once again, it opened more people up to accept these extremist values and these ideas, like what he had, this extreme nationalism. Okay. And with that, right, it led to a lot of support. Germany was back into a depression after the stock market crash in America in 1929. So they needed some sort of positivity. They needed someone that was going to fit their needs and their wants. And that was giving people jobs. That was trying to build a military. That was really just wiping his butt with the Treaty of Versailles. Okay. And he wanted to try to bring back this nationalistic pride Germany once had. And that's kind of how he gained that support. Propaganda, using the media, building on the fears of the people that communism might spread to Germany, right? The Reichstag, the burning of the Reichstag, we talked about that a lot. And we discussed how, finally, I don't think I mentioned it too much, but with education, academics, he's targeting the youth. Okay, we'll talk about more of the Hitler Youth Organization and how he was trying to really promote these ideals to the younger generation moving forward. Okay, and got rid of any type of political opposition. There's a lot to it, right? There's a lot to it. But we can see a commonality amongst Mussolini, Hitler, Stalin, okay, even what Hirohito and Tojo were doing in Japan. Okay, all right, there you go. 6, what do you have for Stalin here? Jeffrey, you're next.
After the death of Vladimir Lenin, he rose to dictator of the Soviet Union using manipulation and terror to destroy his oppositions. He would then, in the Soviet Union, issue a public machine and tractor stations that were set throughout the USSR, where peasants would farm land and give all their crops to the state in order to be redistributed.
What's that called? What's that term called?
Communism
Well,
and totalitarianism.
Collectivization, right? Remember we talked about that? Good job. So he was using the communism was here in the Soviet Union. Okay, that's what everybody was fearful of spreading throughout Europe and even America at the time. And he used collectivization, grabbing these crops, these products that were produced in the Soviet land, and really just directing it towards the military. And how do you build up the military and industrialize the Soviet Union so quick? Remember, it was really far behind what these other European countries had established. So how did he really, I guess you'd say, pump prime industrialization into the Soviet Union? Go ahead, Griffin. Yeah, the 5-year plans, right? Good job. Did they stop after 5 years? No. So this was forced industrialization in the Soviet Union, okay? And he did this through what we talked about with Hitler a lot, right? So fear. He did this through the strength of the military, propaganda, media, okay? Using that for his benefit. Got rid of political opposition. What else did he create for these labor camps to help create the Soviet Union into this dominant force? What were they called? Oh, yeah, when you're playing Warzone, you die in here. Wait, go ahead, Jeffrey. The Gulag. Yeah, okay, good. Good job. All right, so again, guys, you see the commonality amongst all these countries, all these dictators when they rise to power. Make sure you detail on that because that might be an essay question. All right, 7. Describe how Japan became an industrialized and imperialistic country during the start of the mid-1900s. What do you got here, Trinity?
In the mid-1800s, the U.S. was trying to expand and become a power, so Master Perry came over to Japan with boat diplomacy and opened up trade with Japan.
Good.
We set up military bases there and trade. Japan was inspired by how we were industrialized, and they started to learn their own things. We industrialized. By the end of the 1800s, they were industrialized and were expanding into many countries. This helped them be imperialistic and become a strong power.
Awesome. Great work. Great work, Trinity. Yeah, so with Japan, for many, many years, they shut themselves off from the rest of the world. They isolated themselves. How could they do it? They're an island, right? So the United States came 400 years later in the 1800s, mid-1800s, and forced Japan to open up their trade to the U.S. and to accept industrialization. And that was called Gumbo Diplomacy. So they really just forced them open through fear. And hey, look at these battleships. Look at the cannons and artillery we have on these bad boys. And Japan was scared. So they're like, you know what? We could actually do this. We could apply this to our country and really expand it. Okay, make it into a world power. So this was during the time of imperialism, right? America was expanding out into the Pacific, out into other areas in the Western Hemisphere. These European countries were doing in Africa and Asia, right? So then what finally stopped that imperialistic ideas for a short time? What stopped that, you think? What stopped it? It had to be a huge conflict, right? It had to be something crazy that went on. Lentz, what do you think? World War I, right? Good job. So when Great Britain was through a depression, France in a depression, Germany, we know what happened to them with that depression and Treaty of Versailles. America through a depression. What happened with Japan? Did they go through somewhat of a depression? Yeah, a little bit. But what allowed them to really expand? The weak what? What was that group called? Trying to keep peace? League of Nations. Oh, yeah, good job, Kiara. So this allowed Japan to say, you know what? All these other countries that could maybe put us in our place are going through these economic depressions. They are going through these problems and these issues that they have to focus on themselves. So Japan's like, oh, well, we'll expand. We'll take over some of these lands. We need to expand for resources because Japan's an island. They're limited to what they have, right? They need to expand. And one of the biggest kickstarts for them was what? What war were they in, Serene? Do you remember? Early 1900s. Yeah, the Russo-Japanese War. Good job. They beat Russia in a war. A European power, which expanded them into the Siberian Peninsula, right? Manchuria, the Korean Peninsula, down to Vietnam, out into the Pacific even more, eventually to the Philippines, which will really anger the United States. Wow, you see that? See how it all works? See how it all comes together? Okay? All right, and finally, 8. Why couldn't the League of Nations stop these countries that were mentioned above from becoming strong military imperialistic powers after World War I? What happened? What do you think here? Autumn, what do you have for 8?
It was supposed to stop them from war, but it couldn't because not all of them.
Okay, all right, good, yeah. All right, so the League of Nations was weak. A lot of these countries were going through the depression. They kind of agreed that, you know what, especially France and Great Britain, the United States, we're not going to build up our military forces during this time. Because, hey, that was the Great War. That's the war to end all wars. It's over with. It's done, right? There was really no authority to stop these countries like Italy, Germany, Soviet Union, and Japan to rise to these world powers, these military powers. Okay, no one was there to enforce some of these guidelines that they were supposed to follow. All right, and we already talked about how a lot of these dictators ran their country, okay, and how they enforced this onto their own people. And there's a lot of commonalities there that you need to know. All right, again, propaganda, media, using the military to their advantage, getting rid of any type of opposition or competition, right? Okay, so make sure you know that. Is there any questions on that? We good? I think we're ready. I think we're ready for this. Again, make sure you have your vocab ready to go for tomorrow. I think we have one bell ringer, maybe. I don't know. Just check those out. Let me know. I think there's one, right? Okay, so just one bell ringer. I'll just add that onto the vocab, I guess. That'll work. All right, any questions? Make sure you turn that in. I want to give you credit for it, okay? That's all I got. Good luck. May the force be with you. Bring your iPad, all right? Bring your iPad ready to go.